It is day 15 of the 2018 Utah legislative session, and I am excited. I am going to give you a special behind the scenes look, and I'm going to introduce you to two very close friends of mine that have been amazing supporters. They've helped me draft legislation. They're just incredible collaborators, and they've supported me in so many different ways. So I can't wait to introduce you. Do you want to guess? Can you guess? It's the Koch brothers. Come on in. Yeah, I don't know them. I don't know them. They've never helped me with anything. And yet there is a group up here that seems to be following me and sitting next to me on the stand and testifying over and over again that the Koch brothers are behind my legislation. Wow, whatever. But they keep saying that they don't believe that outside groups should be involved in our legislative process, and yet there they are, the American Federation of Teachers, an AFL-CIO affiliate. So maybe I'd like to meet the Koch brothers, but yeah, it hasn't happened. Anyway, notwithstanding that excoriating opposition to my bill because of the Koch brother boogeyman behind my legislation. The bill was HB 116. It passed out of committee unanimously. And what that bill does, again, I think I've discussed it before, where it requires higher education institutions in cases of civil liberties to go through the rigorous and public rulemaking process that will give students greater protection of their civil rights. Today in the Education Committee, we heard a bill that would seek to take about $2.5 million to put school guidance counselors in elementary schools. Now, currently, secondary schools are required to have school counselors, but not elementary. And what happened was we heard a lot of testimony today about very troubling behavior incidences, mental health concerns, and we're all concerned about our suicide rates among our youth. So we heard these descriptions, but what a lot of people don't understand is that the school guidance counselor was not trained to handle mental health treatment and diagnosis. And so I'm concerned that we would put them in this situation where they're not trained but have an expectation that they are. So I do think that we should have training in the schools to handle emergent situations and diffusing techniques and things like that. But number one, I don't think that is the right solution because these are not the right people to put in these situations. Number two, as a parent, I want my kids to go to school and receive an education in science, math, history, English, and some Chinese and art, music, and some fun things and things that prepare them for their futures. But I don't expect them to go to school for psychotherapy. I don't feel like it's the role of the school. And over time, we have increased the scope of of education to be all things to everyone. And there's so much that we place on schools to be responsible for that I think that we have overreached the role of public education. Number three, the way we fund schools is there's a pot of money and it gets divided up. And the more we take chunks of money off the top of that pot, then the less there is for the schools to use and spend and prioritize their own way. So what I'd rather do is instead of taking a pot of money to go to counselors, and by the way, this was a grant program, so not everybody was going to get a piece of that pie, but everybody loses a piece of that pie. I would rather that we keep that whole pot of money intact and let schools decide what they need the most. And if it's an elementary school counselor, they can choose that. So that's a local control issue for me. I'd like to keep that money for the locals to decide.